Hi, I'm Joanne Murphy. Welcome to Try Talking Sport, the podium podcast for athletes, adventurers and endurance enthusiasts. Welcome to episode 8 of Try Talking Sport with professional triathlete Nikki Bartlett. This episode was recorded on the Friday evening before Ironman 70.3 Dunleary in advance of Nikki racing at the event and going on to win it, making it her 15th time on the podium and her first Ironman 70.3 win as a professional athlete. Nikki has taken a diverse road to triathlon, leaving her life as a rower behind due to injury. She has been racing professionally as a triathlete for 4 years, and in that time she had been on the second and third step of a podium 13 times before she finally took to the top step at Ironman Lanzarote, taking her first professional win in May of this year. Nikki is also part of the British para-triathlon team as a guide hoping to make it to Tokyo 2020. The episode gives us some great insight into Nikki's life, the highs, the lows, the pressure to perform, and the consistency, confidence and determination it takes to make it to the top step of the podium as a professional female athlete. There was lots of laughter recording this episode with Nikki, who spoke so openly and honestly about her passion for sport and her journey in triathlon. If you haven't tried triathlon yet, then I think you may be inspired to do so when you hear Nikki's story. Nikki, welcome to the show. Delighted you can join us as you head into the final preparation for your Ironman 70.3 Dunleary this Sunday. Now, for our listeners, tell us a little bit about how you got into triathlon and your general sporting background. I believe I met you first at the Ironman 70.3 Wimbledon back in 2014 when you raced as an age grouper and finished as second overall to Emer Mullen. A lot has happened since then.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, firstly. A lot has happened since then. Probably had a different path to most pros, I guess, getting into triathlon. I guess out of all my schooling life, I used to do all the sports, like hockey, netball, athletics, rounders, but I was like never amazing at anything, so one of those. So then an opportunity came up when I went to university to start learning to row. So I did that and it progressed really nicely, and I ended up representing my country and going on for the Girls for Gold initiative in 2008 and going into the World Class Start development programme. So I was on that for a couple of years and I kept getting these rib stress fractures and just kept getting injured off the back of it. And I can remember one of my friends, I was speaking to her, she's like, oh, I'm off to do this half Ironman this weekend. I was like, oh, what is that? And she told me exactly what it was and I was like, you're bonkers. Anyway, so she did the race and she did really well, and then a couple of months later, she was like, I'm off to do another one. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have any goals here because I'm still injured. Like, I need goals in my life. So she's like, well, why don't you come do it? And I was like, well, little problem is I don't have a bike, I can't swim at all, and I haven't run for years. And when I used to run, it used to be like 400s and 800s, so very short stuff, like where you're doing like 120 metre sprint with like 8 minutes recovery. It's completely different to what I do now. So I was like, oh, no, I don't think I can. She goes, no, look, literally like, here's a bike you could buy from eBay, I'll get you a wetsuit, and you just need a pair of trainers. And I was like, oh, go on then. And it was really close to my parents' house, so I thought, yeah, that's a brilliant opportunity to go and try this out. Anyway, so we went, and I clearly was clueless on what I was doing, because I got a phone call the night before the race, and she was like, have you racked your bike? And I was like, racked my bike? No, it's tomorrow. And she's like, yeah, the bikes are meant to be racked. And I was like, oh my god. So I can remember me and my dad just like driving quickly over to the race venue to rack the bike the night before. But they didn't have bags then or anything, so it wasn't one of those faffy bits as well. So we had a box on race morning. And I can remember when we were setting up our bikes in the morning, she was like, oh, where's your bottle cage? And I was like, oh, no, don't have one. She's like,
what distance was this? Was this
the
half Ironman?
And I was like, bottle cage? No, I don't have a bottle cage. She goes, well, what are you can drink and eat? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't got anything. Because when I was setting my bike up in the morning, I think I was literally like just putting my helmet in my box. Like I wasn't really thinking too far from that. So yeah, and then I ended up, and then I can remember I was like, oh my god, like I hate swimming. Like I don't know if I can even get around the swim. So she's like, don't worry, we're getting last. Anyway, so we got in last, jumped in. I was like, God, there's a lot of people around here. I was like, where are you? She goes, I think we're at the front. And then the gun went, and I was like, oh my god, and literally got stampled on by everyone. And then like I was like, it was at that point where I was like, I wasn't confident to put my head in the water, so I didn't put my head in the water. And not putting your head in the water for that distance is so tiring. And I was like just stopping for a bit, having a breather, and then going again. I finally got out, and literally, I think I was the last person out. And I couldn't see my parents and my family. I was like, where are they gone? But they'd already like started walking, because it was in the quarry. So started walking up the ramp, because they were like, oh, she must be out, must have missed her. And I ran past and I was like, what are you doing? And they were like, oh my God, hurry up. But they weren't, because they were a bit like, I don't even know what she's doing anyway. Like, what is this triathlon like? Because like I'd come out of rowing as well, and they were like, and they didn't know if I was going to quit rowing at this point, because I was very much like in between injury and not knowing what I was going to do.
So you finished the swim.
Yes, I finished the swim.
Went onto the bike with no nutrition.
Yeah, and I had trainers as well on cleats.
So no cleats, just runners?
Yeah, just runners.
Okay. And then you did the half marathon?
Yeah, then I did the half marathon.
And this was back in 2010? 2010?
Yeah.
Wow.
I probably haven't told you that story.
No, you've never told me that story.
It's probably one I should probably keep to myself sometimes. Because I can remember I got to the run and I was like, I am so hungry as well, like really thirsty.
Did you not eat at all?
No. And I can remember my mum told me this the other day, because I was like, we were going through this as a memory, because my dad has a scrapbook. So basically my dad's every single memorabilia of my starting triathlon, he's got everything in the scrapbook. And we had friends around, they were looking at the scrapbook and they were like, so when was this? And I was like, and it was just bringing back memories. And my mum was like, do you know, you went out the house and all you had was a piece of flapjack for breakfast.
And can I ask, how long did it take you to do that race? Can you remember?
In the scrapbook, over 5 hours, but I can remember getting off the bike, but I'd overtaken quite a lot of people. Just I think naturally rowing to cycling is quite a good transition. But I was so well aware, my parents didn't know where I was in the race either. And I can remember I saw my friend on that back section, she goes, you're third. And I was like, what the hell? And I can remember it was loops. And then I went past my parents on a loop and I was like, I think I'm near the front. And they were like, I think you are actually. And then I won.
You've never told me this story.
No,
so you won this race. And can I ask, where did your friend come that was racing with you?
Do you know what? I don't know. She did really well though.
Did she?
She didn't go on the podium, but she did really well.
Okay.
Because then I won, as part of the prize, I won like a bike fit. And I was like, oh, amazing. And then that's when I got a TT bike after that. So I was like,
and a pair of cleats.
And a pair of cleats.
Okay, well that was a story I wasn't expecting to hear when I asked you to tell me about your journey in triathlon and a background. But hey, Nikki, it's good.
So that's my first one.
Okay, that was your first one, and you won your first ever triathlon.
Yeah,
that
it was just a local
pretty
race,
cool.
but yeah.
Now, you wouldn't advise anybody who's racing their first triathlon to go out and do what you did, especially over a half Ironman or an Ironman distance.
I know, yeah.
You're a lot more sensible now.
I am. I have my nutrition plan to the T.
And you know that you rack your bike the day before a race.
And I am racking my bike tomorrow for a race on Sunday.
Yeah, and you eat a little bit more than just a flapjack running out the door.
Yeah.
Nikki, so you won that race. You were still rowing. So how did you end up then switching across from the rowing to triathlon?
Well,
full time.
We made this pact after that race with my friends. She was like, by the time we're 25, because I was about, oh God, maybe 21, 22 when I did that. She was like, well, by the time we're 25, we're going to do an Ironman. I was like, brilliant. Anyway, so I went back rowing and I kept picking these injuries again. She's like, I've decided I'm doing mine next year. And I was like, oh my God, why, which one? And she's like, I'm Bolton. And I was like, wow. And I was like, oh. Oof. And then one of my friends who I live opposite, their mum got terminal cancer. And I thought, do you know what, I'm going to do it as well and raise money for charity. But I was still rowing then as well. So that's why when I finished the race, I didn't have a clue about Kona when they said, you won a slot to Kona. And I was like, don't even know what that is. And I can remember when someone told me what the entry fee is, I was like, well, I'm obviously not taking that slot. So yeah, I did Bolton for charity and then after that I was like, do you know what? I've done well at these 2 triathlons which I haven't trained for. So then my rowing coach sat me down, she's like, you have been injured now for 2 years, I'm going into Olympic year, which that was my target, to get into the boat for 2012.
Okay.
In this, because I was lightweight, so I was doing double scull then. So it kind of came to a crunch point that I'd have another 4-year cycle in rowing, or do I take up this new sport which allows me flexibility, which I'm not getting injured from. So yeah, I transitioned then properly into an age grouper.
And then we move forward to 2014. You came second overall in Wimbledon. You'd been in some of the pro field there as well. You actually had a phenomenal race from what I recall. On the day, it was very, very exciting. You were chasing down that second podium place.
I think I came off the 4th or 5th off the bike.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of the family there. And the I literally wish that course was back. It was amazing. The run course, like your family and supporters could get everywhere, because it was like I think 3 or 4 laps, but you could get from like literally one point
Yeah,
so, like,
to the next day across the field.
Yeah,
It
across
was
the
very,
field.
very contained in
So
there.
I knew
A nightmare
exactly.
for logistics in general.
I can
but
imagine
it
no
was,
Wi-Fi or anything.
No Wi-Fi, no getting
No
in or
4G,
out of the place and all that. But that was a phenomenal race, and that really, I read an article recently, and then I actually looked back at our video of the interview that I did with you back then, and John Levison from Tri247 says this girl is one to watch for the future. And fast forward to 2019, and you've had... but you've had an incredible career so far. I know you say, and Bex laughs that it's taken you so long to get to this point of a win in Lanzarote, but it's been a fantastic season and couple of seasons for you.
Yeah, do you know, it's not something I'll change. I could never want to fast track to the top or get any shortcuts there. It's been an amazing journey just to see where I've come from. I guess a lot of people listen to this, sometimes they think pro athletes have always been a professional athlete, or they could always have swam, bike and ran to very good ability, but like literally that's how I met Bex, is when she started to swim, coach me. Like I literally couldn't swim properly. Like I could survive, like push me in the water, I can get to the side. I go swimming in the big Lido, I can play around, whatever, and not the actual general logistics of swimming properly.
So considering your first triathlon, you swam with your head out of the water for the 1900 metres, to the point where you swam so fast that you actually were able to win a race outright, you know, and do so well in Bolton, and then, you know, in 2014 you're second overall. The swimming has come on, your biking, your running, everything has all come on.
I mean,
so
it's
well.
not like you look at like ITU swimmers, I'm never going to be that ability. I mean, I can always strive to be that good, but realistically, like I'm just chipping away slowly and steadily, like from when I used to what we talked about the other day on the live feed on Facebook. Like my first ever swim session was 6 100s, not as a set, not as like a go hard, just getting through 6 100s. I was coming in after 3 minutes and going off 5 minutes. And it's just like looking at that now, it's just like, oh my god. And when we were doing that, I was like, I had in my head, and I told Bex then, I was like, yeah, I want to be a professional athlete. But like, because she's come from an ITU background as a coach, coached the power squad, the British power squad, and I was just like, this girl's having a laugh and she thinks she's going to do that. And then I went on an age group training camp straight after that. And then I can remember our first session was a 3k swim. And I was like, okay, 3k swim. And he was like, in the sea. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't think I can even swim 3k. And I can remember they all went, had breakfast, and I was still swimming. Like, I just kept getting washed to the shore, like, and then I'd have to swim back out to be able to swim again. Then I'd get washed to the shore, and it took me forever.
But I think what it shows is that, like, you've been consistent with your training, you've been consistent with everything, and you're also obviously very driven and very motivated to continue to just hammer on the door to get your swim up to a level whereby you're totally confident going into the water as a professional to be able to race at the highest level, which is what you're doing. You're going to Kona this year. You've won one of the hardest races in the world.
No, and then like waking up each day and trying to be slightly better than the day before, and just kind of chipping away at those goals is something that really motivates me and gets me out of bed in the morning. And it's just being consistent with your training and not losing sight of where you want to go. I mean, you have sessions and they're terrible. You have some weeks and the whole week's like, oh my God, that was a terrible week. Or sometimes it's just average, you're just hitting everything you need to hit and nothing's a miracle kind of session. It's not about those massive days, it's just about like kind of ticking off consistently and just literally seeing as much green and training peaks as possible. And
I suppose for most people that are listening, they're going to be age groupers or athletes listening to this who are thinking, oh my God, she's living the dream life. I just want to qualify for World Championships, or I just want to do my very first triathlon. But really, consistency is the key word to use. And if you do miss the sessions, don't fret over them.
Massively. And especially for like age groupers, because like, a lot of people are like, well, how many hours do you train a week? And I literally... And some people are like, how many hours do you cycle a week or whatever? I'd have to actually go on my training peaks to look. I generally don't know. And it's not comparing to pros or anyone else. It's actually looking at your lifestyle and be like, how many hours do I have to train realistically around this? Like, you've got work, you've got kids, you've got family. I don't have any of that. I've got a dog who's very lazy and actually makes me go to sleep in the day. A human dog who makes me go to sleep in the day. So I don't have those commitments. So actually you've got to look at your lifestyle and be like, okay, what do I have? Do I have, say, 6 to 8 hours a week? That's all I can do. Okay, well, that's brilliant because actually you can definitely do a lot in that time, and it's what you do in that time that matters, and it's about doing those 6 to 8 hours a week.
And doing them well.
And doing them well, and being guided correctly on how you do those sessions, and making each of those count. It's not actually just smashing those sessions because that's what you think that is all the time you've got. That is a lot of time still to be training on. It's about doing quality in those sessions and kind of having a goal, consistently having goals. Like, say you've got a race in the summer but it's winter, it's actually having goals between that time as well. And just making sure that if, say, you can get to pool, say, twice a week, just make sure you go every week, twice a week. Don't go once a week, no times a week, 2 times a week, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, kind of just making sure it's all consistent. That's the biggest advice for age groupers I'd have. And don't look at what anyone else is doing, because usually social media can be a pile of rubbish with just the glory days everyone posts up and kind of, oh, I'm always smashing this, and this out, but you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
That's for sure. And when you look at your history in a professional capacity, you've had 14 podiums since 2016.
Yeah.
What would you say was your breakthrough year or your breakthrough podium performance that put you on the trajectory to get that top spot in Lanzarote this year?
I'm probably going to say this year. Like, last year I had some good results at the beginning of the year, like Lanzarote and Staffs. They're 2 good races for me, but after that I picked up an injury after Staffs, which I should have just sorted out straight away, and I didn't, and I had a lot of average results after that, which people looking and be like, well, you came 3rd at Wales still and then 2nd at Weymouth, but
you weren't happy.
I wasn't happy. I wasn't fit. I was swim bike fit, but I wasn't run fit at all. So whenever I got off the bike, I knew I can't deliver what I should be able to deliver here. So I knew coming into this year I was in a really good shape because my winter training because I had ended up having various MRIs, injections and stuff on my foot to cure it, and then I had like a 3-month progression to get back into running again. So I wasn't running properly for about 6 months, and then 3 months of the rehab was really progressive. So February was when I started training again properly. And from February, I just had such a smooth journey towards Lanzarote.
So you had Staffs this year?
I was meant to do Staffs this year, but
you didn't do it. Yeah, I remember that actually.
I didn't do it, mainly as a precaution. Like, I was ready to race Staffs. Like, I was sat like I am now. Like, I'm fit, I'm well, I'm ready. Like, I'm literally at the peak of my fitness. And so it was a really difficult decision to be like, I've got a really busy year coming up. Sensible decision would be not to do this race, especially because the next day I was going to Florida on a heat camp. So I was like, the sensible decision is not to do it, and it was really hard to watch the race because I was like, I want to be in that race right now.
And especially when you're at peak form as well.
Yeah, peak form. And I've done Staffs every year, and it's like a home
and podiumed
race.
every year.
Podiumed every race. I've gone, well, okay, Staffs was one of my first proper professional races, and I came 6th, and then I came 3rd the next year, then 2nd, then 2nd. So I've done it like every year, and I love the crowds in Staffordshire. So yeah, that was a really hard decision, but I'll never know if that was the right decision or not. But I'm sat here not injured. I haven't been ill or injured all year, so touch wood. As we go into race this weekend. So I hope it was a sensible decision.
And then of course we moved to May to Lanzarote.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your prep for Lanzarote. It is one of the toughest races in the circuit across the world, not just in Europe. What was so different about this year by comparison to previous years?
Well, I was going into it and I was like, I am fit. Like, I just know I knew I was fit from training. And then we decided, okay, we're going to have a slightly earlier taper, and to make us do that, we're going to put a race in 2 weeks before. So I did Ironman Paced Act 70.3. So I was going into it a bit tired because I'd only had 3 days taper, but I knew I was in good form. I had probably one of my best swims, and it was really choppy and absolutely freezing in there, which just doesn't suit. Usually cold conditions, I'm rubbish in the swim. So I had a really good swim, came out, had a really solid bike, and then ran my best ever run I've ever done on quite tired legs. So after that I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I just need to get this taper absolutely nailed now, because I can't really gain any fitness, but I can gain more confidence from just backing off and delivering sessions fully. So I went into Lanzarote and I was like, okay, I was just literally like watching what I did, because I was like, don't trip over, like like everything back. So okay, don't run here, or like just stay on your feet, because I am so clumsy, like, and it's so standard every taper. I'll stack it, like, I always fall over. Like, it's a running joke that taper week is a nightmare. And then it was like I hadn't been ill for like 6-7 months. I was like, don't pick up any illnesses. So it was just about taking care of the body going into it. And then when we arrived, all the locals were like, oh my god, it's like the worst wind we've seen on the island for so long. And a lot of people were taking the decision not to even ride outside. And I was like, oh god, like, so I did a few rides outside. My Bex would follow me in the car. A lot of the times I just got in because I was like, this is so unsafe. But race day happened to be a really windy day. And I was like, but the longer we're on the bike, it suits me better, because that is my strength, it's the bike. So I was almost like, okay, I don't like how unsafe these, because they literally are. If you take your mind off the race a bit, you'll be in Lanzarote. Like, it was ridiculous. So I was like, this is just planning out to be perfect conditions for me on race day. I came out the swim because my plan was to swim pretty easy, so I didn't come out too tired. So I just got out, had a good start out with that mass start. Like, if no one knows what Ironman Lanzarote with mass start is, go on YouTube, because it is mad. It's like literally one gun, 2,000 people go. And the first boy's like 180 metres away. And you're just like, it is carnage. So I got around the first boy and I was like, okay, I haven't been punched too many times. Like, this is going okay. So I just got into like a pack and just was really easy on the back of the pack. I came out, saw 29 minutes halfway, and I was like, brilliant. Like, this is just where I need to be. And it was actually better sitting at the back of the pack than in it, because you just got battered. So I came out and I felt really fresh and ready to go for the bike, and I kind of moved up the field pretty quickly. I think by 80k I got to the front, and we kind of thought I'd be getting to the front towards the back end of the bike. So it was quite funny, because like Bex and my family always go out to certain points of the course and timing my splits and like what it is to the front. And then I got to the front and they were like,
we don't know what to say to you.
We don't know what to say to you now. Because sometimes like if I make it to the front, it's with like 5k to go. So it's like, okay, just push harder to get as much time. But then it's like, well, actually, it's before halfway. I don't want to pop, so I need to be controlled. But also, what do we tell her?
How did it feel leading the race?
I was like, wow, look at all these motorbikes around. But they were like absolutely amazing, because one thing I go to course, because bikes are my strength. A lot of courses sometimes have a bit of motorbike drafting, so I had to choose courses really carefully. And these motorbikes, absolutely amazing, like they just stayed behind. But the adrenaline rush you get from like 4 motos behind you is just incredible. So I was like absolutely buzzing. And I was like, I literally couldn't contain like my smile and my enthusiasm for the race. And like got to the top of Mirador, and I saw Darren Wheeler's photographer, and get on well with Darren. And he was taking photos, and I was like, look at these views, look at. And then like when I look back on the race, everyone else is like in the aero position, like hammering it up the hill, and I'm like, whee! Proper chopper going up. But it just made me buzzy for more. Like I appreciated, just appreciated the race so much more. And then I got off the bike and I think I had a 12-minute lead coming off the bike. But being open and honest, I was on a really bad day of the time of the month, and I spent a lot, like everyone's like, oh, it's 'cause she got changed, it took her so long. But honestly, when I get changed so quick, but I was in the toilet for ages because I was like having quite a serious pain in my stomach, and then had to change, so I lost 4 minutes of those in transition. But it looks like, but no one really looked at that. They looked at, oh, Nikki's lost 4 minutes in the first 10k
of the run.
So everyone was like, oh, Nikki's dying. I was like, no, I'm like well within myself here, like I feel good. But it looks like that I was just like slowing up and I'd gone too hard on the bike or whatever. But actually my watts on the bike was still about 25 watts off what I could have done. So I was well within myself on the bike. It was like, in fact, it was below what our minimum target was as well. So yeah, I felt really good. And I was just like, right, whenever because Maya was the one behind, kind of what looked like she'd be chasing me and probably maybe the favourite to be winning. I was like, if she puts push in, I'm just going to put a push in. And that's just how I raced the whole marathon. I was like, just keep under control. Don't try and go out for anything glory, because it's my one opportunity now to actually get this win under my belt. Because it got to the point where I was like, come on, Nikki, we're backing you for the win. It was like every race was like, we're backing you for the win, come on. And I'm like, finally, I got it. And then just honestly, I literally was like, didn't know what to do down that finish stretch. I was like, how do I soak this in for as much time as possible? But I also need to get over that line just to make sure it's secure and I don't like pass out or something before it. Because like you actually hear horror stories of people, because I was like, I had 5k to go and I had really good coverage for me on race day, and I can remember my brother saying, God, like you just kept walking aid stations and like chucking water on yourself, and I was like, Craig, honestly, I've heard so many horror stories of 5k, 2k, even like 1k to go, people like just literally falling apart. So I was like, anything can happen in those last 5k, so you can't take... I can remember going up and there was a guy called James who I know, and I was literally must have been 500 metres from the line, and we were just talking. He was like, God, you look fine. I was like, I still don't know whether I'm going to win. And he was like, you're 5.5 minutes and you're 500 metres away from the line. But like, because you're just so disorientated by this Ironman lull and just fatigue and everything. And it was hot on the run. And I was like, he was like, Nikki, start soaking it up. And I was like, I literally couldn't until I hit that carpet. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And then because I didn't do everything I wanted to do, I went down the line, hugged a few people, saw Passion Fit girls. So I hugged them, hugged Bex and her parents, waved at everyone, then went across the line, and I was like, I need to go back out. So I went back out, and I think I was back out for ages, but I was getting drug tested as well. She's like, you need to come with me. And I was like, I know you're allowed to wait. So then you wait, and I had to do a live interview as well. So yeah, I was just soaking it up as much as possible, but it was like, I literally watch videos back all the time to try and relive it, because you just don't know when that opportunity's going to come around again.
Did you think going into the race that you would win it? I
knew I could if I put everything together perfectly, and it would take kind of my perfect race to win it. I didn't feel because I obviously wanted to qualify for Kona, and I knew this is my only Ironman I was doing to try and qualify. And as the days came towards the race, I was like, God, this is actually a big deal. This is my only chance to qualify. But I tried not to think about it and just cut it out, because with the new point system, it was only one spot for males and females, so the winner got the spot. And I knew all the other girls hadn't qualified yet for Kona, which was quite rare, because like quite a lot of the races, once you're kind of getting into May time, quite some people of the field have qualified already, so it would roll down. So I was like, I literally need to win this race. And I was like, well, I need to pull this win out the bag Sunday. So I was quietly confident that if I put everything together, I could have a really good day. Whether that would get the win, I don't know. But I was ready to give it everything and fight for the win. Did you
feel under pressure to get the win?
You know, I started to, actually, because like I had a pace accident 2 weeks before. I had such a good race. But people there were like, oh, backing you for the win. I was like, oh no, I'm really fatigued at the moment. But like the performance I did, I was like, do you know what? Now I'm starting to believe I'm actually, like, all my splits were really good. Like my bike's really good, and then I came off and did a low 121. It was 350 metres short, so it'd be about at least a 122. And I was like, I'm actually getting to the point where all of my disciplines are strong now. I'm not having too much of a weakness. The swim is still my weakness, but it's kind of edging closer very progressively. What was the question again? It's gone off on one.
Feeling the pressure.
Oh yeah, feeling the pressure. And then like a lot of more comments I was getting, like on, say, especially Facebook, because that's where I kind of deliver most of my social media. Were like, come on, we're back in foot. And like, the more I was reading, the more I was like, God, yeah, like this win. And that is when I was like, how many podiums have I had now? And that's when I actually went on and counted. I was like, oh my God, before Lanzarote, it was my third. I was like, 13 podiums. I haven't won yet. Like, okay, like, and it was like. And I can remember Hugh put something like, oh, here's a picture of Nikki when we thought she might be winning at Weymouth for the elusive win. I was like, God, it is becoming this elusive win now. And it was like, that was in the back of my mind. And I was like, nah, the win's just come in for the right moment. I know it. And it was just like literally my perfect day. And
talk to me about your training now for Kona, because you are racing on Sunday. So we're recording this podcast before Sunday. It's Friday evening here. Mm-hmm. We're out in the bike course today. You did a little run. You're going to do a little swim tomorrow, but you're in the middle of prep for Kona right now.
I mean, it's 8? Is it 7 or 8 weeks this weekend? I think it's 8 weeks this weekend. I know it's 50 days today, because I saw a tweet and I was like, God, that's going to come around quickly, especially when you count like a 2-week taper. So yeah, I'm in a really heavy block of training. Like last weekend, delivered a really good weekend of Kona specific training, so I'm pretty tired, but at the same time I'm really raring to race, because I actually haven't raced individually since Lanzarote, and I've had a lot of people contact say, are you ill, are you injured? But I'm literally been like in tip-top form. It was more my guiding commitment stopped me from racing individually, and then I decided to have a mid-season break as well, because we moved house straight away when we got back from Montreal. We moved house, and I was like, to be able to deliver what I want to deliver in Kona, I need to be really ready to go. So I had a 4-day little mini break, which did me the world of good.
Now this isn't your first time going to Kona. You were there in 2017.
Yeah.
You kind of got the last slot at the time
Yeah.
in the older format of qualifying for Kona on a point
Yeah.
system. But you seem to be fired up a bit more this year, raring
Oh yeah,
to
definitely.
go.
I think I just have a
lot
bit
more confident.
Yeah, like it's just starting to, like, confidence to me has been quite a big issue, and I think that's why I struggle sometimes. Say before a race, I'm like that feeling of, should I be here as a professional, which some people just wouldn't think would cross their mind that that's what you think. And I guess the more I'm progressing as a pro athlete, the more confidence I'm gaining in myself. So yeah, it's just having a bit more confidence in myself to be able to deliver, and I think that's what really happened in Lanzarote. Is that actually that Pace Axe race was almost a blessing to do that. It was like, actually no, like I'm actually, this is going very well. So yeah, I'm a bit more confident and definitely more prepared. Just from heat prep to training, just being more savvy as an athlete, more race savvy, more training savvy. I know my body well.
What about your recovery and your nutrition?
Yeah.
You know, have you honed in on those completely now?
Yeah.
Has there been a massive change since 2017 to now in terms of what you do now versus what you did back then?
Yeah, like I did heat prep for Kona last year, but it was pretty last minute. I wasn't really clued up on why I needed to do it, and I kind of just did it because that's what I needed to do rather than the why and the how. Now I know that personally I need more heat prep than just those few days before I flew, and also I've got a good understanding of the nutrition around the heat preparation and also the nutrition in heat in training, and which we've practiced a lot in Florida and through all the heat prep we've been doing. I think I started my heat prep before Lanzarote, came out of Lanzarote, heat prepped, and did Florida, so I've done quite a lot of heat prep so far this year.
And then you come to Ireland and we're going to have 20 degrees, it'd be like a mini heat wave.
I know, I did a heat prep session this week and I was like, this is so not for this weekend. I'm like, I need to get cold adapted.
Not really.
Not
really.
It's looking like a really good day. It looks perfect conditions. The wind's low and the sun's going to be out.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed doesn't change in the next 2 days. So yeah, it's looking good.
So let's talk about the race day just for a little minute.
Yeah.
In terms of, I suppose, your equipment really, because I know you have 2 new bicycles.
Yeah.
For Kona.
Yeah, I do.
So you're racing one of them on Sunday.
I am, and it was a bit of a job getting them set up right. But when I went on it, I was like, my bike now, I love it to bits because it's, you know, like everyone loves their like first proper time trial bike or bike, but it is 6 years old. And then I guess the last couple of months, a lot of things have started to go wrong with it, and we're like, this is a sign. I need some new bikes here. And kindly Savello have kind of sorted me out there, so that's been a great addition to the team, and just being able to ride that bike in the last couple of days. One of the bikes which we managed to get set up, I was like, this is so different. Like, you can feel the difference. My bike is very tired now. So I was like, I'm just going to go for it and race on it. So I've been out on it 3 times now.
So normally the advice would be to somebody before a race, don't try anything new.
Don't listen to
But I suppose when you think about it, when you were back all those years when you did your very first race, everything was new on race day.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's not a big deal that you've only ridden your bike 3 times.
Yeah, and it's pretty much a like for like for my old bike. Like, my old bike is a P5, my new bike is a P5. It's just 6 years newer and just a ceramic tab rather than Di2. But he was saying that new gearing system can't be learnt quickly. Well, I have to learn it quickly on this course. Like, well, that's the thing. Today I just was up and down the gears anyway, so I've got used to it very quickly.
So then for the bike course, because I do know you like to race some of the harder races.
Yeah,
so Lanzarote, Wales,
yeah.
You know, the full distance ones definitely you're hitting for the harder courses. So the bike course here in Dunleary is
right up my street.
It's what?
Right up my street.
It's right up your street in that it's a technical
it's very
course,
technical.
And there is quite a bit of climbing, but there is a lot of descending as well in it.
Yeah, I didn't realise how technical it would be, I'm not going to lie. I heard last year everyone say, this is a course you have to go and do. And then I was a bit unsure what 70.3s I wanted to do around this time. And then I saw I'm on Cork on and saw the support, and I was like, do you know what, that would fit really well to do the 70.3 in August, so I'll do that one. So I came and I was looking at the course profile, I was like, yeah, that's a lot of climbing in the 70.3. And then we went out today and I was like, literally did the first 90 minutes. Actually, we drove out a bit to get off a few of the more main roads. I spent the whole 90 minutes, like, literally in my little room. I was like, this is going to be so slow. I literally didn't go anywhere. And I was like, this is going to mess... If people haven't either ridden or seen the course, it's going to mess with some people's heads on race day. It's even, like, because even when you drive, you have no concept of the hills. Like, there's some parts where, like, Bex was like, oh, this is a flat bit. And I was like, no, I'm still in my little ring. This is actually a hill, but it doesn't look like it in the car. And then I was like, this is just climbing forever and ever. And I got in the car and I was like, oh, we must be near the end of climbing. And I was like, we're actually not anywhere near the end, because when we went right up into is it Wicklow? Yeah, Wicklow Mountains. And I was like, wow, this is stunning. But on race day on Lanzarote, I was like, hey, look at all the views. But like literally, because these climbs come off into technical descent, so I need to be actually on it and focus on the road on race day. But yeah, it's going to be a long day on the bike compared to most 70.3s, which is perfect for me.
It's a good, honest course.
Oh, it's an honest course. Like, it's going to be no drafting. You've got to be mentally tough. It's going to, like, you literally need all the bike skills. Like, you need to be strong. You need to be got your head game right in there. You've got to be technical on those descents. You've got to be aggressive, but not too aggressive, otherwise you're probably going to fly off around a corner. And just stay in your own bubble, because I think a lot of people will do different things that you probably don't want to do on race day, so you just got to stay within your own race plan.
So speaking of a race plan, obviously you'll be working off watts on race day, but I imagine that you'll be pushing out some serious watts going uphill, and then coming downhill, it'll all normalise quite weirdly. Yeah, it will definitely normalise differently to most other races. Like, I do usually go for the toughest 70.3s, but this is by far the toughest course I've seen. Probably the prettiest too. By far the prettiest 70.3 I've seen, 100%. Like, you just don't want to take your eyes off the views. Like, we even stopped in the car and just like, wow. Did you stop at the Guinness Lakes Loch
Yeah, that's where we stopped today. It was like, oh my god.
And then went for a cup of tea in Johnny Fox's pub, the highest pub in Ireland.
No, we didn't do that.
Did you not go there?
Obviously need to come back next year and do that then.
Absolutely. Or, well, at least don't stop on race day for a cup of tea.
No, if I do, there's something going wrong. But yeah, it was just absolutely stunning, and it's just one of those courses that you just want to grit your teeth and get into. Are you excited to race on Sunday? Oh, I'm really excited. Yeah, really excited. It's definitely like, because I was looking at, say, kind of your staff's average times, what I've done there, and then looking at what the other females did last year. It looks like literally half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour longer than you'd usually be on the bike, which is a long time. Like, I'm gonna have to add some more nutrition to my bike nutrition plan for sure. More than just a flapjack. Yeah, more than a flapjack and some fluid. And Nikki, do you get nervous before race day? Yeah, people don't think I do, because I'm usually... You're quite bubbly and happy and laughing. Lively. The giggles we had before we even started the recording were hilarious. I think Joe needs to put what we did in. I just spoke very loudly into the mic, but I don't need to do that because I'm loud anyway. For kindred spirits. Yeah, I think I'd have blown everyone's eardrums off. Imagine them jogging along and they just heard that. I think you just did it again. Anyway, back to the pre-race nerves, Nikki. Bring it back. I do get nervous and excited, but as soon as that gun goes, like, it's just all game on. Yeah, really, really excited. You just want to go out there and just see what you can do, and just see how far you can push yourself, and just test all the, because that's what I love about training. This is what we do it for, is the racing and the enjoyment of the racing. And just meeting loads of new people, and I've had loads of messages off kind of local people here who I haven't ever spoken to, or they've not necessarily followed me so far, and just talking to them and just all excited. And there's a lot of local athletes doing this race, and everyone's like, yeah, that bike course. I'm like, I know, I've seen it. Well, that's why you're here, really, isn't it? That's why I'm here, because you like the bike course. Yeah. It was the Passion Fit lot, like, straight away, like, because I think I was down to do this one last year, and I can't remember why I didn't. Oh, because I was injured. And they were like, oh, you missed out on that one because that one would have suited you. So it's always been in the back of my mind that I need to go and do that race. In terms of your support crew, between your coach Rob and Bex, how important is their influence in your life? Oh, massively. Like, Rob, who's my coach, he like not only instills the programme, but the confidence, the bike kind of like setup, like absolutely everything. There's a lot more than just a programme. And then Bex sees me on a day-to-day basis, so I'm also a para guide, so I train with the para squad, so I do their swim sessions, and then if any of my sessions which Rob set me suits, I'll do the bike and run sessions with them. So Bex sees me on an individual day basis on the swim, and progresses my swim. But Rob solely writes my programme. But some days Bex will be like, "Oh, you're looking like crap," and then I'd go back to Rob and be like, "Nah, sometimes you're meant to be looking like that, or sometimes we'll peel back." So it's good that she can see me, what I'm like on a day-to-day basis.
And would you monitor your heart rate in the morning when you wake up to see, are you fatigued, or would it literally just be, you know your body so well at this stage that you just know, do you know what, that isn't going to happen, I'm not getting up at 4:30 to go for a half-hour swim?
Yeah, no, to be honest, like, I'm one of those people that Rob would be like, "Nick, stop being silly, you need a day off or something." So I'm more someone needs to say, pull back on, rather. So I know if I'm waking up, I'm like, I'm too tired, that's definitely, I'm like about to tip over the edge. But to be honest, Rob just seems to know in his programming. Like, there's days where I'll be like, "Oh, I won't need that rest day there, or I won't need that afternoon off there," and I come to that day and I'm like, I could not possibly train in that afternoon there. So yeah, he just writes the programme so well and just knows me really well now because we've been working together. Actually, this is a funny story. So Dublin, when I did this race in 2015, I did it when it was Dublin. Do you know what? I think it was the first year. It was actually Ironman Dublin 70.3. And I did this race, and Bex and I had actually split up for 6 months. She might kill me now and put this on the podcast.
Is this another one of your stories that you should have told me beforehand and are only telling me now?
Yeah, so I'm just like introducing it on the podcast, everyone can listen to this. So we'd broken up for like 6 months, and I'd had this down. This is my first pro year, and I had this race down, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do it." But we were slowly getting back together. So she's like, "I reckon we should just go to Dublin to do it." And I was like, "Really? Like, I'm just not fit to do this race." And I'd seen Susie and Rob at Staff, seen Susie and Rob at this one. And Rob was like, "There's something going wrong with your bike. It's just so far behind." And I was like 10, 15, 20 minutes behind. And I was like, pretty much coming off the bike last in most races. And he was like, "You shouldn't be coming off the bike last with your rowing background." So he got in touch and was keen to meet up and have a chat, see if I had a coach. I didn't have a coach at that time. And just keen to see what I was up to and doing, and that's when we started. And so it's funny, actually, now I've thrown it right back to this race 4 years later.
And in the meantime, you and Bex have gotten engaged, but you haven't gotten married yet.
No.
So 4 years you're engaged, and you I think I said to you at the time that you should just go to Kona
and just get married.
And get married in Kona.
I know. It's just ridiculous. Like, the sport is insane. And then, like, everything, like, so let's say this year, like, should we save up for this year? And then we ended up buying a house. Then it's like, well, God, now we're, like, massively in debt, so can't afford it now. But, like, what about next year? And it's like, well, it's actually Tokyo Paralympic year, so that really would be too much. So we're thinking maybe the year after that, 2021, which would be like 6 years engaged or something stupid.
But you're going to Kona this year, so you could technically both bring white dresses and get married.
We could, I know, but there'd be no one there to see it. You'd have to come out then, Joe, to be
I could, like, officiate at the wedding.
Yeah. There you go, you want a job in Kona. So we're going to go to Kona and go Billy Mo mates and get married.
People could be eloping. Anyway, we'll bring it back to normal talk.
Maybe by the time we come back on the podcast, we'll actually be married.
The second time, the next podcast interview, because we keep referring to the para activities that you're doing. So just explain to people what you're doing with the para and how that's kind of gone a little bit off track at the moment, because I know in Staffs as well, when we were meant to meet in Staffordshire, you set me on your whole schedule, and there was so much para stuff, but it's kind of, unfortunately, been pushed to one side for the moment. Yeah,
so I've started Paragliders in December this year. And a guide for Alison Peacegood, who came second at Rio. And we've been getting on amazingly. Our partnership's been going really well. We had our first race in Milan in April. And it's funny because actually it's only been now we're looking back, it's been our only proper race. And we both went into it like really fatigued, like just it was a training race before all of her major races started. So the Paralympic qualification process started this year in June, and it was running through, and it's run throughs right to I think next June. And actually, unfortunately, after Milan, Alison got a series of illnesses. It started with a virus whilst we were out in Lanzarote, and then that developed into shingles. So she had those 2 months off. And then she was starting to feel a bit more normal, but hadn't trained, but her heart rate was significantly high. But as a team, we decided to do Montreal because it's the first Paralympic qualification race, but she was strictly to only go easy, so really easy on the swim, and then I would just do whatever I could on the bike. She was cheering me on. Like, "Go on, Nikki!" but like we were cornering well together, but essentially I was just like doing what I could on the bike, and then she just had to go really easy on the run. So we managed to come second in that. So there's a lot of excitement to come when she's well again. But after that, she got inflammation around the heart, so got signed off completely. So 4 months, the poor girl's been out for. Just got signed off a week and a half ago by the doctor to say she's medically well, but she's obviously extremely unfit, and yeah, it's probably had her confidence knocked a bit, but she's been in such good spirits, like just focusing on the biggest picture, focusing on what she can do. So she's been doing a few run drills and getting strong in the gym. So she's medically allowed to race, but she's unfit and needs to spend the next 2 to 3 months really monitoring the heart rate. So she has to go at really strict heart rate zones. But Lausanne, the World Champs, which is next weekend, is a really hilly bike course. It's going to be a true test of trying to get her to go easy.
So you're going to Lausanne as well?
So we're going to Lausanne. Unfortunately, part of the process of Paralympic qualification, that if you're starting to miss these races, you just are going to really struggle to qualify for next year. So we're going as a kind of get around race really, and also like with the para side, you've got your ranking points, and if you start to miss races and your ranking points drop below 8th or 9th, you're not even getting starts. So if her ranking drops below to 9th, then when she's back fit and well, we won't even get starts.
So you won't even get to be able to check to see could you qualify for Tokyo.
So yeah, the system's making, but that's the system, I guess, in the ITU system, like Tokyo test event being most people's major races this year. So yeah, unfortunately we missed Miyazaki and Tokyo. I guess the reason I didn't do Stas was because I wanted to go on Florida heat camp prepared for Alison, and also Montreal, but unfortunately she just couldn't do that. And then I had the mid-season break to get ready for Miyazaki and peak in Tokyo, but unfortunately she couldn't do it. But yeah, ready and raring to go for next year and just focus on what she can do, and kind of we're already planning winter, kind of some preparations for next year. So we're looking ahead to the bigger picture rather than just focusing on what we can't do at the moment.
So when you look at it, you think back to 2012 and your coach took you aside, or sorry, 2011, and your coach took you aside and said, you know, you're getting injured, you're going on the Olympic cycle, and then you look at the journey that you've taken and potentially could still get to the Olympics, albeit 8 years later, in a completely different sport and a completely different format. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah,
I'd be absolutely honoured to stand that start line with Alison, and we have, I think, a really good opportunity next year. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and yeah, just she's doing everything she can to be patient, because obviously if you've been off for 4 months, I'm guessing not many people would react very well to that.
But you've kind of been there yourself as well with your own injury, in the sense that you were off as well, so you can kind of relate to what she's going through. There's a little bit of... At
the same time, the thing I could still do something.
Yeah.
But with Alison, like, she literally couldn't do anything. Like there was points where she wasn't even allowed to do S&C and get out of bed. So you can imagine if you're seeing everyone else peak fitness in the squads, kind of you're watching the races that you need to be at in peak form go by, it would be really difficult. But yeah, she's done a brilliant job, and it's absolute kudos to the British Triathlon team for keeping her headstrong through this time and supporting her in the best way possible. The right medical team, psychology, from the coaches to everyone part of her journey, support her really well.
So you're talking about everybody supporting Alison, but who has been your biggest influence in sport to date?
Oh my god, wow, that's a question, bombshell. Influence in sport?
Like who's been the biggest influence on your success, I suppose, or not so much inspired you, but whose support has continued to, I suppose, influence your success and your passion for triathlon, and like help you get to where you are now?
It's a hard one, because like I look at probably who supported me the best, and obviously it's my parents, and they've kind of always allowed me to just go and try new things out. They've never had kind of like, to be honest, like with all like the GCSE and A-level results, I'd bite my toe. I probably should put something up, but like I'd love to put something up and say like in my GCSEs I struggled so much. I think I only got like 4. I was terrible at school, but I just loved sport. But my parents wouldn't ever push me and be like, God, you're dumb as hell or whatever because you're not getting the grades, but they just always supported me. Like my mum would always have food on the table to prepare me for my training session, which my dad would take me to. And it was never in the thought process that I wanted to be an elite athlete. God, no, I was so average at athletics. Like, I just go for the social, really. And like the reason I dropped down from 800s to 400s because I was just too lazy to even do the 800 training. And I'd often still be hungover from the night before because I was the biggest drinker ever. But they always just supported me and allowed me to kind of like follow a path and just drop into paths. Like I remember went to uni and I was like, oh Dad, I've gone to like the expo day or whatever it's called at uni and there's all these sports I want to try out. And I picked up loads of leaflets and I remember I said the first one was rowing. He goes, oh Nikki, you know, rowing's a really expensive sport. Like we don't really have any money. Like, and I was like, I'm not even. And I can remember I had a frisbee one. He's like, you should go and do frisbee. I can buy you a frisbee, but I can't help you at all with your rowing. And I was like, oh, I've taken up that rowing. And then when I got into rowing, then I was like, I'm going to do triathlon, like two of the most expensive sports ever. But they've always emotionally supported me, like financially, absolutely never could support me in those terms. But we had the best upbringing as kids with nothing. So it shows that you don't need money to be successful. And behind the scenes, I don't really talk about it on social or anything, but it's been like that's a massive struggle side, I guess, to especially being a professional athlete. Jesus, so with people helping you out with your sponsors and kind of like when people put you up in accommodation or you get home stays, like it's the biggest help ever because like you could not do it without that support network and that team around you. Yeah, like if you think like you go to a race and by the time the race prize money's broken down and taxed and it gets into your bank, I think when it finally got to the bank in Lanzarote, I was like, Jesus, like you could not live off that for even a month. Like it's not even a month's rent. So like you need to have a good support network around you. And having Bex alongside the whole of this journey has been incredible, and obviously we're on the journey now together and we've always supported each other's journeys. Like obviously she's been away for the last 3 weeks in Miyazaki and then Tokyo, and then has come back in jet lag to come back out, and we actually probably won't do this next time, but we drove over and then got the ferry, which was a long journey, but it's fun, isn't it? So yeah,
it's an adventure.
It's an adventure, exactly. Like got to see Dublin last night. Didn't think we'd see Dublin, and have never been to Dublin city centre before. And then after this we go straight to Lausanne for the World Champs, and then she stays out from there, and then I'm racing the next weekend after in Gerard Mer for the 70.3, and then she goes straight from there to Europeans. So essentially she's been away for 7 weeks. So it's a tough job, and we support each other because the commitment she has on her side is massive, and so I need to be supportive of her journey as well.
And I suppose the other side of all of this as well, Nikki, is that you know you talk about not doing well in your GCSEs in school. And I suppose it's very different in Ireland. We have our junior cert and our leaving cert, and I suppose it probably gives people hope that if their son or daughter isn't doing well in school, but that sport offers an opportunity for them to excel in an area where they're very passionate about as well and can succeed in it. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like, well, actually, there's grades and stuff, but there's actually a lot of other things in life to learn around, like actually how you are as a person and kind of your nature as a person in the world, and that's sometimes stuff that you don't get taught at school. And I kind of, my area was sport, and like me sitting down in the classroom is like,
I'd say you were the biggest joker in the class, sitting down the back, distracting everybody else.
I just was so bad at it, but it's something I had to do like all day, and I was like, and then by the time I got out to PE lessons, I was like, wow, what am I doing? And then like obviously like training sessions or whatever, and that's just where my passion was. It was never sat in the classroom, but it's whatever your passion is. Like my brother's an accountant and sits down all day. Like he loves to do that, but for me, oh my God. Firstly, I wouldn't have a clue what I'm doing. And secondly, we'll be able to sit down all day, every day.
And I suppose if we turn it on its head again and say, if you weren't a professional athlete, what do you think you would be now? If you hadn't taken up triathlon back...
Well, I went into teaching. So when so I did the Girls' Squad initiative in 2008. It's the same time I got my PGC, and it was in Birmingham Uni, which was massive just to get in, because I think there was only like 10 to 15 spaces as PGCE. So I was set on a journey to become a PE teacher, and I'd done the Girls for Gold, but I hadn't heard anything back. So started my PGC, and then they rang me and they were like, I think I missed an email or something, and they're like, have you not received our email? Like, which sport are you choosing? I was like, what? What do you mean sport? They were like, well, you got good enough cycling and rowing. And I was like, wow, like, I never really cycled. And like, yeah, I didn't have a bike then, so I was like, well, I'm not going to go into cycling, can't really cycle properly. So I'll go into rowing, because I had been doing that at uni. So I stopped my PGC then, and that was a big jump. I was like, do I carry on? I've been 4 months into this PGCE on a journey to financially support myself and kind of my degrees, progression to PGC, progression to work. And I can remember talking to my parents and all my family. They were so supportive. They're like, well, whatever you do, we'll support you. And I was like, God, this is a massive jump. I'm going into a sport unknown. There's no direct salary straight away. You have to sort yourself out, get into the team before there's a salary. So yeah, that was a massive jump. And yeah, had I not taken that jump, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you today. No way. I'd be definitely delivering PE teaching sessions and trying to encourage the next generation.
Definitely would have been sport anyway, I think.
Oh, 100% definitely sport, not sat in the classroom.
And talking about sport and talking about school, you know, we look at the increase in the number of females that are taking up triathlon.
Yeah.
Here at Dún Laoghaire this weekend, we've 20% of the field are female, which is fantastic.
That's amazing.
And obviously we have that Women for Tri programme that the Ironman Foundation are promoting as well. But on a practical level, on a ground level, a grassroots level, you know, what can we be doing? What can you be doing as a pro athlete? What can athletes in general be doing to encourage more girls into the sport of triathlon and to keep them in it?
Yeah, well, I think the thing we need to promote more is that actually you don't need to go into long distance, especially. You don't have to go to 70.3 in Ironman, just because that's what you see is supposedly the big thing everyone does. There's so many local triathlons, like short distance ones, because for females, I don't know, males, there might be time commitments, which is the tough barrier, and they might not have time to train for an Ironman. You know, you've got kids, family, work, like your window of opportunity is quite small, and it's actually like, what can you do? And just get into that local triathlon club and meet new people there, and I promise you, like, you'll find a way of competing which will suit you and your lifestyle. It might be a super sprint, it might be a sprint, it might progress on, but it's just start somewhere. And I promise you, as soon as you sign up, you're like, literally when I started triathlon, I never looked back. Like, I can remember actually, it's about a year and a half ago, Bex was like, have you ever been on a rowing machine since? And I was like, no, like literally since I started triathlon, I never looked back, because it's just so addictive. Like, you just want to create a new goal once you've reached a goal, and create small new goals along the way, and the people you meet in the community is just like my biggest area. I love meeting new people and talking to people. Like, on social media, I 100% reply to everyone, like, and I'll talk back to them and wish them luck if they're racing, and community is absolutely fantastic, and the people you meet are like literally friends for life. And yeah, if you're like a single female, I bet you'll meet your other half as well there at the triathlon club.
Or maybe if you're a single, female or male.
Yeah, obviously, because that's where I met Bex. So I bet you as soon as you sign up, you'll just love it and you won't turn back, and there'll be 100% races. And it might not be a triathlon to start with. It might just be like, okay, I'll start on some local swim races or whatever, and then work your way up. So yeah, like, definitely just encourage people and having role models, and the more, I guess, professional females who can help along that journey, and allow people to see that you've come from a beginner too. Like, I literally started the sport as a complete and utter chopper novice. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Actually, I did duathlon, before that, 2010. And I can remember someone said in transition to me and my friend, like, your tyres are so low. And we're like, I don't have a pump. And then he pumped our tyres and we were on 20 or 40 PSI. Like, literally, I had no idea. And I can remember I got off the bike as well, off the bike, and went into my second run. And I didn't have another pair of shoes in transition. I had the same ones, but I had laces in. So, like, my laces were done up. And so I was, like, undoing my laces and everything. And my dad was like, Nikki, hurry up! Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I can't get my feet because in my shoes. And I ended up doing the next 5k with my shoes undone because shoes back. So I didn't even know that there was, like, locked laces. So, like, you really do think probably is when you start as a novice that there won't be anyone worse than you or whatever. Like, you'll be the slowest. But it's just, I promise you, it's not the truth. Like, you go to your club and there's always people. Like, I train sometimes with Race Hub. we go to swims and there's like, we're going off, say, 90-second turnarounds in the fast lane, but the slowest lane's going off like 3 or 2.5 minute 100 metre cycles. So like the range of abilities is so big, so it's not elitist at all. Like some people think, oh, it's just you're fine, you're a pro, but it's not at all. Like I promise you, like there's so many different ranges of abilities, and you'll always find someone of your own ability.
I think that's very, very sound advice, and definitely the club culture as well, and a lot of the tri clubs is brilliant, and it's the social aspect as well, of course, because the post cycling coffee or the coffee cake stop, or the we have a breakfast club in Galway Tri Club where we meet for breakfast on a Wednesday.
Well, we have one on a Thursday.
Yeah, so they train, I just work and go for breakfast and then might train in the afternoon. But Nikki, I just want to say a huge thank you for joining me here this evening. We've kept you for about an hour for tonight's podcast. An hour of talking and laughing. This is probably the funniest podcast we'll have done. I want to wish you the very best of luck for Sunday. I do hope to call you down the finish line in first place, but more importantly, I think best of luck for that journey to Kona, and I'm sure we'll have you back on the podcast before Tokyo 2020.
I hope so. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks everybody for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, please take 30 seconds to give us a review on Apple Podcasts and on the Facebook page Try Talking Sport. For more information and to check out our previous episodes, log on to www.trytalkingsport.com. You can also subscribe for free across all podcast platforms. Until next time.